historic crypto bill was recently passed by Congress, and XRP investors benefited greatly. However, what does this actually signify for XRP, Ripple, and the cryptocurrency industry as a whole? Without the fanfare, let's get right to the point. A historic event recently occurred in the crypto industry that may change how digital assets are regulated in the US. The passage of the Financial Innovation and Technology for the 21st Century Act, or FIT21 bill, by Congress marks a dramatic change in the way that policymakers view cryptocurrencies. XRP holders are most affected by this development. This law isn't about fancy, despite the fact that many people in the cryptocurrency sector have a tendency to go toward wild speculation and shout out price projections like $10,000, 0 cents, XRP, infrastructure, and legal. Certainty are key factors that could ultimately enable real-world adoption. Therefore, let's correct the record and examine what FIT21 does in reality, how it helps XRP, and what it actually implies for the market. Let's first examine the main components of the FIT21 law. The law's overarching goal is to establish a precise legal framework that makes the distinction between digital securities and digital commodities. Crypto projects have been in limbo for years due to unclear regulations, making it impossible to operate in the US with confidence without running the danger of the SEC's fury. Because of this uncertainty, enforcement-heavy strategies and a stifling of innovation have resulted. Much-needed clarity is brought about by FIT21. According to this regulation, digital assets that are sufficiently decentralized, that is, without a central entity controlling the networks, management, are now categorized as digital commodities and are governed by the Commodity Futures Trading Commission, or CFTC. This is a significant change because up until now, the SEC has frequently asserted that it has jurisdiction over the majority of cryptocurrencies. This leads us to the token developed by Ripple Labs XRP. In one of the most well-known cryptocurrency litigation to date, Ripple has been fighting the SEC for almost 3 years. Ripple was accused by the SEC of selling XRP as an unregistered securities. However, Judge Annalisa Torres issued a historic partial verdict in July 2023, declaring that XRP is not a security when it is offered for sale to the general public on secondary exchanges. Although Ripple and its backers greatly benefit from this verdict, was still only a court ruling and not law, this is where FIT21 comes into play. In the majority of application scenarios, FIT21 successfully enforces XRP's non-security status by defining digital commodities in accordance with Torres' view. This lessens the possibility of future regulatory shocks and strengthens Ripple's legal standing. Beyond the classification itself, jurisdictional clarity is one of FIT21's most crucial components. The distinction between the CFTC and the SEC was at best hazy prior to this statute. Every agency sought for dominance of the sector and had a distinct interpretation of digital assets. FIT21 now makes those distinctions more evident. The CFTC is in responsibility if a token meets the criteria for being a digital commodity. The SEC steps in if it acts more like a security. This is important to XRP. For a long time, Ripple has maintained that XRP is not an investment contract, but rather functions as a utility token for international payments. FIT21 provides additional legal support for that stance and reassures exchanges and institutional partners that XRP may be used, traded, and integrated without violating securities laws. Next, let's discuss trades. So this new bill will boost centralized exchanges' confidence to list and relist XRP, which is one of its more immediate effects. Many US-based exchanges, including Coinbase, Kraken, and others, decided to limit or delist XRP during the height of the SEC case in order to stay out of legal hot water. After Judge Torres' ruling, some companies started relisting XRP, but FIT21 provides even greater protection by eliminating any legal uncertainty. More liquidity, more accessibility, and a resurgence of interest from people who were previously reluctant to invest are the expected outcomes of this. Frictionless access is necessary for XRP to become genuinely popular, and FIT21 helps provide it. Let's now take a brief look at the price hype in real life. Influencers have lightly yelled that this measure will send XRP soaring to $10,000, 0 cents or higher. Let's perform some basic math. There are over 53 billion XRP tokens in circulation. If they were each valued at $10,000, 0 cents, the market capitalization would reach $530 trillion, 0 cents. In contrast, the total GDP of the world is approximately $105 trillion, 0 cents. Therefore, Therefore, unless there is an unthinkable change in the global financial landscape, XRP is not likely to reach $10,000 0 cents very soon, if at all. Explosive gains are not guaranteed under this bill. The true potential is found in the opportunities it creates for commercial collaborations, regulatory stability, and practical implementation, now that the law is clear. Ripple can more boldly approach governments, financial institutions, and central banks to increase the usage of XRP for liquidity management, cross-border payments, and even central bank digital currency infrastructure. Actually, Ripple has already been collaborating on blockchain-based financial projects with nations like Bhutan, Colombia, and Palau. Stuart Alderoe, the chief legal officer at Ripple, has praised the measure, calling it a milestone in responsible crypto regulation, and said that it might make these partnerships more feasible and scalable in the US and other areas seeking advice from US regulators. He highlights that innovation and long-term success are predicated on legal certainty. Companies are compelled to spend more on legal defense than on research and development in the absence of clear regulations. Ripple should concentrate less on defending itself from lawsuits and more on growing its payment infrastructure with FIT21. This implies that more funds can be devoted to collaborations and innovation in product development, all of which could support natural long-term increases in XRP's worth and usefulness. Not to be overlooked is the larger crypto scene. FIT21 is a step toward the maturation of the entire digital asset market, not only XRP. Instead of relying on what regulators may say years later, it offers a registration and compliance path that projects can follow. Additionally, it promotes American creativity, which has been emigrating abroad as a result of unclear regulations. We may witness a rise in blockchain firms opting to establish in the United States as a result of a more defined roadmap. The XRP ecosystem may see new use cases, consumers, and products as a result of that change. However, it's crucial to keep in mind that there are still issues. The SEC may still contest certain provisions of the bill or exercise its jurisdiction in a more forceful manner than intended. Legal professionals caution that the regulatory discussion is only getting started. Furthermore, institutional sales of XRP are still unclear. Judge Torres' decision did not guarantee complete protection in that case, and future laws or court rulings might address the treatment of XRP in private offerings. FIT21 is a victory, but it's not a complete defense. Investors ought to keep themselves updated and keep a careful eye on any new developments. As an XRP holder or someone curious about Ripple's future, what should you do? Celebrate the victory first. This is not merely conjecture, it is actual development. Secondly, modify your anticipations. This bill aims to facilitate adoption rather than ensure price explosions. Third, monitor the process of implementation. Although FIT21 is a legislation, its interpretation and application will be just as significant. Keep up with regulatory analysts, the CFTC, and Ripple's changes. Above all, make investments based on practicality and principles rather than whims. In conclusion, the FIT21 bill represents a significant turning point. It backs up Judge Torres' conclusion that XRP is not a security when it is offered for sale at retail. It makes it simpler for exchanges and institutions to deal with digital commodities, safeguards tokens like XRP from overzealous regulation, and defines agency responsibilities. Ripple may now pursue its goal of revolutionizing international payments with greater legal stability. It also signifies a change in the US's stance on cryptocurrency. Confusion becomes clarity. For the first time in many years, XRP's future appears to be less of a judicial drama and more of a potential commercial success story. Thank you for viewing. Please hit the like button, subscribe for future updates, and leave a comment if you found this breakdown useful. Do you believe that the FIT21 law would ultimately pave the way for widespread acceptance of cryptocurrency in the United States? Is XRP about to enter a new era? Share your thoughts with us and keep an eye out for our upcoming in-depth exploration of blockchain and money. Disclaimer.